All right, welcome back to Sefer Hamitzvot. Thank you everyone for understanding. So today is day 65, and Hashgacha Pratis, Hashem was looking out for us. Today's mitzvah has actually been, this is since day 60, so this is the fifth day that we're doing this mitzvah, so we basically didn't miss anything. Amazing. Okay, what is the mitzvah? Positive mitzvah 153, and this is the mitzvah known as Kiddush HaChodesh, sanctifying the moon. The pasuk for this is in Shemos HaChodesh Hazel Lachem Rosh Chodeshim, which means literally this month, and it was referring to the month of Nisan, which is the first of the months, shall be the head month to you. So there's two components to this mitzvah. There's the idea of sanctifying the month through the moon, the beginning of the moon each month, and also keeping a calculation in general of the months and the years. So there's two major luminaries, right, that Hashem created, and the history of it is very interesting. They were originally both the same size, etc. But bottom line is now there's a big sun, there's a big moon, they have different functions, but in totality, seeing the sun and seeing the moon, obviously in different parts of the world and at different times of the year, you're going to see more sun and more moon. But all together, that makes a day. So this is a huge part. This is the way Hashem has built the world so that we have our calculations of days and weeks and months and years. So both the solar and the lunar are components of what a Jewish year and Jewish month consists of. Today we're talking about months. So the way the month works is by the moon. Ideally, it's in the hands of the Jewish people to decide, to determine, okay, this is now a new month. So the way it used to work is, and it says very clearly, it could only be done by the Sanhedrin, which is essentially like the Supreme Court, and ideally only in Eretz Yisrael, ideally in Yerushalayim, in the Har HaBayis, in the Beis HaMikdash. In very specific situations, it could be done outside of Eretz Yisrael. What I've seen and heard is there's a lot of details. This is very sophisticated system. I think Rabbi Akiva maybe did it. Bottom line, as we know, that's not how we're right now doing it. Similarly, with Karbanos, it's a mitzvah. We would love to bring up sacrifices, but not right now. We're just not able to. So right now, we sanctify the month in our version of it, but the ideal version of it being done by two witnesses coming. It's not an individual like, oh, I see the moon now. No, it had to be decided collectively, objectively for the whole Jewish people, but it was through the human process. And as we know, once they saw that things were not going to be like that for a while, unfortunately, maybe it's being made a set calendar that we go by. But the difference, which is interesting, because there's also the idea to sanctify Shabbos, right? But that is individual. So we all know when the seventh day is. We all know when Shabbos is. But in my household, or me individually, I have to sanctify Shabbos. I have to say this is Shabbos, and as we learn, the way we do that is through Kiddush and Havdalah when it ends. But here, we're collectively, the Jewish people are sanctifying, in other words, saying right now it's the new month, and so we can all bless it and take advantage of it, but it's a collective kind of objective. It's not a subjective truth. It's not like, oh, today's the first day of my month. When's the first day of your Nisan? Okay, another really fun fact. This was the first mitzvah that was actually given to the Jewish people. So not the first mitzvah written in the Torah, but the first mitzvah that as a Jewish people, we were given. It was given on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, the first day of the month of Nisan, while in Egypt. We were only going to leave 2 weeks later, but this was in preparation. This was the beginning. And when Rashi asks the question in the beginning of Chumash, and he says, I thought this was a book of instruction, Torah, Horah, teaching me how to live a Jewish life, i.e. Torah mitzvahs, right? So we should have, this is what he brings up, it should have started with the first mitzvah that we were commanded as a Jewish people, and this mitzvah is the mitzvah of benching, blessing, sanctifying the new month. So that's a whole different answer and discussion of why it doesn't start that way. But the fact is, this was the first mitzvah that we were commanded as the Jewish people. Okay. And one more detail to hone out today is that So our months go according to the lunar cycle, right? The month, the moon, one moon for Earth. And it starts Nisan. Nisan is considered the head of the months. That's the first month. And as we know in the Torah, there's no names. It's not called Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz, Avel, Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev, Teves, Shvat, Adar. What it is called is the first month and the second month and the third month. So Nisan is the first month. Right now we're in, what month are we in, guys? Tammuz. So Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz. So in the Torah, that would be called the fourth month. Okay. Separately, we have a solar count. What is that? That is essentially what the holidays are based on, right? When it says keep Pesach, it says when should you keep Pesach? It does say the date, but it also says it should be in the season of spring. So the holidays are seasonal, right? Shavuos has to align with Bikurim, Chag HaKatzir, that's the harvest, that's Sukkot. So it has to be aligned with certain seasons. How are we going to do that? What's the problem? The problem is the lunar calendar is shorter. When you count lunar days, the total of it is 354 days, and the total of the solar calendar is 365 days. So maybe from year 1 to year 2 would be fine. Okay, just 11 days behind. But eventually things would get out of order. So the solution, and by the way, I believe, I know that the Muslim calendar is also based on the lunar because they mimicked us in many, many, many ways, but they did not introduce our fixing system, which is the leap year system. And that's why their holidays, which let's say Ramadan is always a different month every year because it goes lunar and there's no solar alignment. So what we do though to fix this problem is we add a second month. It's called a leap year, the month of Adar. There's some kind of system. It's not like a pattern. It's a pattern. I'm saying it's not like every other, where so that this way, yes, sometimes Nisan is a little earlier in the year. Sometimes it's end of March, sometimes it's April, sometimes it's end of April, but it's always going to be in the season of whichever season it's supposed to be. And because the month of Nisan is when we start this process, that's why the leap year is at the end of the year, which is Adar. So our calendar is fascinating. It's obviously critical to living a Jewish life. It's all part of it. I'll repeat, probably not as well, but I love Modi has this whole, it's either Modi or Ilan Gold, I'm sorry. But they basically say like, we're the only Michigayim that in our calendars, not only do we have dates and months, we have times, right? 7:32. So we are obsessed with time. And this is obviously a big part of it. So enjoy this month of Tammuz, and it's a special mitzvah that we get to do once a month, and it's very special. So have a wonderful day, and we will see you tomorrow.